Welcome back to another beautiful day in the land of music. My name is Douglas, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a quick and dirty look at how to get started with the MPC Studio and the MPC software that comes included with this controller. We're also going to be using the included sound packs, and I'm going to show you how to get started making your own beats really quickly. I will note that I have the controller plugged into the computer. You can see that there's lights on and everything on the controller. I've got the driver installed, the software installed, the sound packs installed, and we're going to start there. I've got the software open, so if you're curious on how to get to this point, I've got videos in the description below that walk you step by step through the process. Go check those out. But for now, we've got the software open, the controller on and plugged in. We're ready to get started. Let's jump over to the computer and the overhead camera, and I'm going to walk you through how to get started making your own beat very quickly. Just a quick run through of how to get started with the MPC Studio controller and the MPC software. Let's jump right into it. So over here on the computer, I've got the MPC software pulled up. And again, this comes included with the MPC Studio controller, along with a bunch of sounds to get you started. So a quick rundown of the screen here. Up at the top, we've got the transport controls. We've got those on the controller itself right here. We've also got the ability to switch between the different screens in the DAW. Down on the left-hand side, we have our sequence, track, and program sections, along with the track volume and output volume for the track we're currently on. Down in the center here, we have our timeline, and then we've got our cue links, pads, pad perform, and project controls here. In this project section, you can see any programs and samples that you've got loaded into your project, and those can be used across as many different tracks as you want, and I'll show you that here in a minute. On the right-hand side, we have our sound packs or our expansion packs, or you can use plugins that you already have by changing your track type to a plugin and playing the pads as if they were notes. We're going to switch this back to drum, and let's talk about the basic structure within MPC. So our project is this as a whole. Within a project, we can have up to 128 sequences. These sequences can be different tempos. We can have different bars per sequence, and then each sequence can have up to 128 tracks. Each track can be assigned a program or a plugin or any other of these types of tracks. So we can have up to 128 different tracks within up to 128 different sequences. So a ton of possibilities here. And let's just talk about programs for a second. So we can build our own programs by clicking the new icon here, and then going over to our sound packs, selecting a sound pack, and then dragging a sound onto the pad that we want. So there we've started to add into our new program that we've got selected here, program 3, and you'll notice that it loaded that sample into my project. Now I could load a program that's already built, so I'm going to go over to this sound pack here and go to program, and then we're going to click on R&B, and we're just going to double click on this R&B kit ballad ready kit. What that's going to do is it's going to load that kit into our project library, and we can double click on that to load it into our controller. We could load more into our project, again, by double clicking. It's going to load those samples in. And then if we want to replace the current sound here, we can double click on it, or we can go up to here. We can select it from here. So let's load a couple of additional ones in here. You can double tap on stop to kill any loops or sounds that are continuing beyond what you want them to. All right, so over on the controller itself, we can kind of do the same thing without touching the mouse. So up here, we've got track select and program select. Now, anytime you see a label underneath a button or a pad, you hold shift to access that function. So shift track select is sequence select. We can select our sequence. We're going to stay within one sequence here. We can just tap on this to go back to track select. You can scroll between our tracks, and then program select. We can hold shift to change that track type. We're going to leave it on drum, tap program select, and we can scroll through the programs that we loaded into our project. So now let's go ahead and record a little bit. To do this, we've got to go up to our sequence, and let's just make this a 4-bar sequence. We're going to leave it at 120 beats per minute. And let's make sure that the metronome is on by clicking this little icon up here. So when we hit play on our controller, we get a metronome. And it's good to practice playing with a metronome and to play with a metronome when you're building beats so that everything stays in time. Let's go back down here and let's click on zoom and let's zoom out using this negative button so that we can see all 4 bars on our screen here. And we're going to go back to program select, and to record we have 2 options. Record is going to record all of the pads at one time and it's going to erase what was there before. Overdub is going to let you layer sounds as you loop. And so if you do hit record, it's going to go through all 4 bars in our instance. Then it's going to automatically switch to overdub as it repeats that loop. We're just going to start with overdub. We're going to hit play start and it's going to give us a 4-beat count in. And you can see that it recorded those notes. I could tap on overdub and it's going to continue to play, but I can mess around with other sounds. For some reason it missed that second hit I did there. Oh, I like that. Now let's go in and I don't really like that, so I'm going to hit undo. So there you get the idea. We looped through and recorded all of this onto a single track. Now, ideally, what we'd want to do is put each of those sounds, each of the pads we're playing, so the kick, the snare, the different types of instruments we're playing, onto separate tracks so we could then go in and do some mutes. And I'll actually show you that here. We'll go over to our mute, and you'll see only one pad is lit up in yellow. And if I tap it, it turns red, meaning it's muted. So if I hit play, and then I tap this pad, it mutes it, unmutes. So what we can do is we can actually build a bunch of tracks and then we can go in here and mute and unmute them to build our sequence. And what we can do is we can right click on our sequence. And what I advise is to build your 4-bar sequence or your 2-bar sequence as big as your song's gonna get. And then go in and right click and double length. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna copy that beat across the bars that are specified here. So we doubled our 4 to a 8 and then a 16, and you could keep going, right? And till you've got the length of the song that you want. And what we could do is then we could hit this automation read write and this record, and we could start with hitting play. And then when we mute, it actually shows on the screen that we've muted this. And when I stop, and so it recorded the automation of me muting and unmuting those pads or tracks as I played the song. So I could actually, if I had these split onto different tracks, I could actually build my song that way. And then I could export that out by hitting this hamburger icon file and exporting this as MIDI, as audio mix down. And just keep in mind, if you're exporting it as MIDI, that the tracks with their MIDI notes may not have those sounds in the DAW you're bringing it into as MIDI. So just keep that in mind as you export this. It may be better to do some of this as audio. So that's a quick rundown, a quick and dirty on how to use the MPC Studio controller with the MPC2 software. So you can go into the channel mixer. You can add effects very easily. Under the insert section for each of these tracks, you can click that. There's a bunch of effects that come with the MPC2 software. They set you up very well. You can click on any of the effects to change the parameters. You're set up very well to go in and build your entire beat right out of the gate with this controller and the software and the sounds that come with it. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any additional videos I come out with on the MPC Studio, making beats, all of that good stuff. Also check out the links in the description below if you want to know more about how to get set up and started and some more detailed videos on the MPC Studio. Also, if you've got any questions, throw those down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, stay inspired, and keep making that music.